Good morning. As you can tell from the smile on my face, I am very excited to be coming to this venue. This is Embryo, Broom, Blue Lake. There's some absolute monsters in here, fish to well over 50 pound. So I am very excited to have a little play. Now there's a draw taking place in about half an hour, 8 o'clock in the morning, up at the main car park. So I'm having a quick lap just to try and get a little sort of feel for where the fish are holding up. At the minute it does seem very either end, but there are lots of fish showing and lots of opportunities. So I'm going to have a quick lap round, get a little bit of information from where these last few morning shows are occurring. We'll get back up there, have that draw, and fingers crossed we end up exactly where we want to be. Well, that was a very civilised draw. We managed to sort it out between ourselves. Everyone had a rough idea where they fancied. At the beginning, I really fancied that oak tree swim, mainly because we've got quite a good wind pumping down there. But another one of the members really fancied, I think it's called the East Bay. And I felt like that may be sort of, a little bit close to each other. So I opted to fish the road bank swim. I think it's called the road. A lot of fish down here this morning. And I did get a little bit of a heads up from one of the bailiffs yesterday evening that this end of the lake has been holding a lot of carp. Now I haven't got the wind in my favour, but I have got a lovely margin with no one really can sort of interfere with. And I do like that. So the road to begin with, I've just caught up with one of the members, Sam. He's caught just about everything in here, and he has pointed out two very good areas that he's caught fish off in the past, and they are all towards that sort of no fishing bank, I guess. He did say a lot of day bites, just like all the Embryo waters, especially like Norton Disney as well. You can sit there all night long without a bite. As soon as the sun comes up, it starts happening. So the plan is to start fishing from the off, obviously. Not going to fill it in. I was sort of thinking about a bit of a bait and weight, 25 spommers, but with it being a lot of day bites, I think, 5 or 6 spommers, maybe 8 spoms, just to try and kick things off, and hopefully we can get bites straight off the off. So let's get the leading rod out and find an area. So after a brief chat with Sam, I had a good let around just to make sure them areas were still clear, because being the summer months, them areas can quite quickly weed over if no bait or fish sort of visit them areas. The 16 wrap spot to the left, definitely a little bit clearer, so I ended up putting 8 spoms on that one of boilie, Isofish boilies, corn, and a little bit maize, all glugged up in the matching Isofish Smart Liquid, and a little solid bag over the top of that one there. Mate. Oh, the drop on that. A little bit more room with that one to play. The solid bag could have easily gone 3 or 4 foot to the left or right, and I'd have been still on that clear area. But the spot to the right, down that margin, was a little bit more of a softer drop. There was definitely a bit more weed around, which makes sense with it being a little bit more of a shallower spot. I ended up sort of putting the marker float out on that one to the area, which was, clean enough for a rig, but I wanted to bait super accurately. So I walked round to the margin and baited accurately, 3 or 4 spoms, and then a good sort of 50 or 60 hand throwed 10mm Isofish over the top. So we're fishing nice and accurate there, and I actually opted to fish a little spinner rig on that one, on a little helicopter system. Isofish pop up once again, little match the hatch, and we got that one there bang on the money. So we are fishing with 2 rods to the right. You can use 3 rods here. Now the shows have slowed down since the morning sort of good show time. Now I did see a few fish this morning straight out towards the stink, probably only 8 to 10 wraps out. I've seen nothing since, and if nothing does show in the next couple of hours, I think that is where I'm going to have a little investigation with a bare lead and see if we can get that 3rd rod fishing before midday. Bite. That's a bite on the spinner rig. Oh my God, we've got one up here. There is no better feeling than getting your first bite on a new water, especially when there's a 50 pounder swimming around in there. There's definitely a little bit of weed out there. This should have dropped the lead though, so Once we get it out of this bit of weed, we should be good. And what a buzz. And that's not taken long either, the best part of probably 90 minutes. 4 spoms, 50 or 60, 10 mil ice of fish scattered around the marker float. That is it, job done. This fish is now moving away from that marginal shelf. Wow, they are powerful carp. He was all very chilled in the deep water, but as soon as you bring him up the marginal shelf, they don't like it. The perfect start on Embryo Broom Blue Lake. I am made up with that. How about that for a perfect start? The old right hand rod down the margin on the old spinner rig. That little presentation has been catching me a lot of fish recently, and it's probably down to that sort of neutral colour hook bait. You know, that sort of brown match the hatch, I guess, hook bait has been doing me so many bites of recently. I haven't mentioned yet, it has got a little bit of pineapple goo on it, which could be making a slight difference, but at the minute we're doing really well on the spinner rigs, and what a lovely start. I have managed to find a further spot for my third rod. A fish showed very, very close in, again on that sort of 8 to 10 wrap mark. I actually cast a bare lead exactly where the fish showed, lovely clear bottom before it hit the marginal weed, and it came back at 9 wraps. So I've got a single solid bag down there for now, so I'll roam that rod around as the afternoon progresses. But what about the perfect start, eh? The rod's back out, fingers crossed for another one. Unbelievable. If only just put this rod back out there. This one has found the little bit of marginal weed that there is. Let's try the old slackening technique. Hopefully she'll move away, which she is. Yep, she's off. Let it move away from that weed a little bit. And we are back in action. Sometimes it's all you need. It's a little bit of slack. They think they're free. Move away from their safe weed bed, and we start winning again. And there she goes, back into the deep water. Wow. That was a good call, not introducing a bit more bait. It's so easy in that situation to, you know, think, oh, they're on it, they're eating, let's get more bait in, try and catch more, but often is the case, a single hook bait back in that zone will get you a quicker bite. That's what I need, mate. Number 2 is in the nets. Go on, Embryo Blue. This is not what I expected. And we've managed to catch one of the slightly smaller stockies, but each time that rod goes, it's a buzz because there are some monsters in here. Like I said, that 3D fish, which is the big girl in here, last out at 51 pounds. So at the moment, I am more than happy chipping away at these, but hopefully a real monster is on the cards. Let's get that rod back out there. Oh, well, after the perfect start, things have dried up a little bit, and I think that is down to the fish clearing me out. You know, I always get the rod back out there, and sometimes you can get a quick bite, and then you assess the situation after that. And like I said, things have definitely slowed up, so I've brought that right-hand rod back in, gone back out there with a marker float, walked back down the margin, and reintroduced the same amount of bait again. So 4 spoms and around 50 or 60 of them 10 mil isofish boilies. I've then come back round, reeled the marker rod in, and got that rod out with a fresh hook bait and fresh hook back on the spot. I am very surprised the left-hand rod hasn't jumped into action yet, and hopefully as the evening goes on, then fish will come off that margin, come into the deeper water and come across that middle rod where that nice baited spot is. So after that second bait up on that banker spot on the right-hand margin, nothing else happened. It was a very quiet afternoon. I needed to go to the toilet, so I thought this would be a good opportunity to reel the rods in and go and have a little chat to the other anglers around the lake. I'm glad I did, because I did actually learn a little bit, and that came up with a little plan for my left-hand rod. Well, I went off to the loo about half an hour ago, and as I was walking around, I caught up with one of the bailiffs and another one of the members, and we got chatting up like you do, and he was saying that a good spread of boilies just past the marginal shelf, just very similar to what we're doing here, can often do really, really well. So I've came back to my swim, popped the marker float up in the same sort of wraps at 9 wraps, and I've just catapulted probably a good kilo of bait now all around that marker float, and I'm going to put that solid bag back in position. But rather than putting a little yellow hook bait on it, I've gone exactly what I'm feeding, a 10mm isofish boilie straight out the bag on the hair. So I'm going to give them one more, and then we'll get that solid bag, hopefully, bang on the money. Well, what a start. A really, really good day. I must admit, I didn't expect to catch one, never mind two on your first down a new lake, but we have caught them and we've learned a little bit as well. So it's all heading in the right direction. Although it has gone a little bit slow since that second fish. I thought that quick bite after catching the first one, I thought it was going to be one of them days where you can't put a foot wrong, but yeah, that hasn't been the case. I am very happy with where all three rods are positioned. You know, sort of hand baiting down that right-hand margin is lovely. You know you're fishing accurate, you know you're fishing over bait. This left-hand rod again, you know, popping the marker float up and just catapulting loose the boilies in that zone. I'm feeling extremely confident. That middle rod was a pain. The wind was swirling around so much, and when you've only got one rod on a spot, you want your bait to be accurate. You know, when you've got three on a spot, you can quite easily go, well, there's your left-hand rod, there's your right-hand rod. You know, you've got a nice little gap to sort of get your spoms in, but yeah, I've had to stop a few mid-air just because they were going a little bit too far left. So, but no, I'm really happy. I've got a good 12, 15 there, absolutely on the money. And that solid bag also went spot on. So it's all looking good. I did expect a few shows this evening, going off of, you know, this morning's activity. There was loads, they were dancing around everywhere, and I thought this evening would be a very similar situation, but it has all died off. Whether the fish have, you know, potentially moved on this strong wind, and they are down there in numbers, I guess the morning will tell us that. So at the minute, I'm extremely confident, although I have heard the nights on here are a little bit slow, but we will play it by the morning's activity, I think. It's been a busy morning, but not all for the right reasons. We had a small one to begin with that we let straight out the net, and then I had the dreaded hook pull, but I guess these things happen. It has been a lot more active the last hour or so, a lot more bubbles appearing, fish showing, and I've been getting liners. This left-hand rod I have moved, so the margin spot that I baited to the marker float yesterday with them boilies have done absolutely nothing, and that was the only rod I wasn't getting liners on, so the fish aren't obviously coming that close in now that I'm actually fishing. But I have seen a lot of bubbling and the odd show right out in the middle of the pond there in sort of no man's land. So a single solid bag got put that way. Getting liners, which is you know, a positive thing. No pickups yet, but there's definitely fish holding in that zone. The lad over there in the stink had one this morning. So yeah, it's all looking promising, and true to form, it's doing them daytime bites. Ooh, another nice show there. Again, over very deep water, but I say very deep, it's 15 to 17 foot out there. You know, but this time of the year, as we start approaching into September, they will start dropping down into these sort of deeper waters, and you will start picking up bites. Where in the spring, you know, these are the places you want to completely avoid. You know, get on the shallow plateaus and bars and the margins like we are now. But now, you know, I say we're still a couple of weeks away yet before the hits start happening in the deep water, but the fish are definitely starting to hold back up in them zones now. I've seen it on a few lakes recently. So my main hardware that I take everywhere, to be fair, is the 12 foot, 3.5 pound test curve Kaizen Platinum, and this will suit the majority of the situation I'm in. You know, if I find myself fishing anything from, you know, the margins all the way through to say 30 wraps, this will do the job. Bazio SLDs, never let me down, been using them for years. And one thing you always hear me banging on about is the line I'm using, and you know, I try to use it in most situations. Contour in 12 pound, just incredible line, no stretch, sinks lovely, casts lovely because it's 0.33, and I use it wherever possible. It's only distance or heavy weed, and I don't want that much line on the bottom, is when I'll steer away from it and maybe go to a mono like 15 pound touchdown or something. But for everyday use, this little setup is absolutely spot on. There's a perfect example there, you know, because this middle rod's got fluorocarbon on it and the left hand rod's got fluorocarbon on it. The line's sitting very low in the water, and this fish 15-20 foot out there is just kiting over the top of it rather than picking up lines like it would do if you had a mono on, and you know, and that line was sitting a lot higher in the water. So it has so many advantages, fluorocarbon. Yes, it is a pain. Yes, you've got to babysit it a little bit and keep it clean, stretch it out at times, but the advantages far way out the disadvantages. Come on, girl. All the way. Yes, third time lucky this morning. I say third time lucky, we've landed two, but this one is a nicer one.
Alright, whoa, your rod, mate. Yeah, your rod's nearly going in.
Ooh.